God gives you what you need. The book of Judges is not just a book of consequential events of people that God has called to great leadership in the face of an oppressed people. The book of Judges is very well put together, and the intent of this book is to show a 410-year legacy of how God took some ordinary folk with different characteristics, to save Israel on many occasions. And Judges is very important to us because it allows us to understand one very important thing. God does not call the same people for the same position all the time. Each of these judges, and there are 7 accounts of Israel moving out of oppression, each judge had their own skill sets and their own relationships with God. The first thing that happens in each of the stories is that Yahweh or God permits the enemy, the people fall away from God. That's the first thing. They fall away from God. They're disobedient to God. The second thing that happens is that the people then fall into the hands of their enemies. The third thing that happens is that the people dare to repent and cry to the God of Israel to save them. And the fourth thing that happens is that God calls out of this circumstance somebody to come and deliver his people. This morning's text finds us at what is understood to be the 5th story. The 5th judge named Gideon. Our text in chapter 7 takes us to a point when Israel has already fallen away from God. The Midianites have already oppressed the people of Israel. And the people of Israel are now crying to God that God send somebody to save them from this great oppression. God dares to call a poor boy, a wine press operator by the name of Gideon. Gideon, from his first encounter with God, had the same questions that many of us grapple with in the pews today. He has the question of, I don't have the resources for this job. Life and the challenges that we face in life surround us every day by whether or not we have the resources to do the job. When God calls Gideon, Gideon says, God, I'm a poor boy. My family does not have much, and I can't take on this type of thing. I need you to show me something. Isn't that too our plight? In this day of, in order to make it, excess is required. Dr. King must have saw this coming in the 60s when he talked about the materialism that would be present in the church. And that materialism has risen up to great heights today. We feel in life that we can't accomplish something unless we got more than enough. How many times we said, oh, we can get that done if we just had enough money. I need more than enough. In order to do this, I need some cushion in my bank account. In order to do certain things, I need more than enough education. And I was just smart enough I could step out, do what God would have me to do. More than enough. If I just had a different kind of social system, then I would be a different person. If I just had different kind of surroundings, I don't have the resources. I'm not really well, and I'm putting on, and I don't feel as well as I laid it on to be if I was only well. God, I don't have the resources to answer this call. So here, Gideon, as many of us, feels he doesn't have enough. But I stop by here to tell you, my father's children, that God will indeed give you what you need. Gideon went and did what God asked him to do. Gideon even tore down his daddy's altar. His daddy had an altar of Baal, the god. God told Gideon to go down and tear that down. When everybody came to look for Gideon, it was Gideon's father that stood up and said, let Baal fight his own battles. Here Gideon's name is changed to Jeremiah, meaning the one that would contend with God. And my question today on this theme of name that we've been carrying in 2007, what is somebody going to call you? Are you the one today that is going to contend with your addictions? Are you going to contend with your sickness? Are you going to contend with your heartbreak? Are you going to contend with your disappointments? Are you going today to contend with your past? God has called you to be more than a conqueror. So today the question rests on our shoulders. Are we going to contend with that which is set before us? He finds himself ready to fight the Midianites with 22,000 soldiers. He felt, as many of us would feel, that he had all of the resources that he would need. He had everything, and they had all the training that they would need to go and take over the Midianites. I'm sure he sat down and did his plan and realized that he was indeed ready. Then he heard from God, and God said, there are too many of you. There are too many of you all, and if I let you go out with these 22,000 people, you might just think that you did it yourself. Sometimes, my father's children, God has to humble